Hello, my name is George William Alford. I've applied for the butchery position for VG Meats. A little bit about myself. I currently live in the Cotswolds of England in Oxfordshire. I was born and raised in Oxfordshire on a small beef farm to the age of 10, at which point I moved to the small local town where I attended secondary school in the Cotswolds as well. Attended there for 6 years, left school with 12 GCSEs. I realised that I had to get myself a trade, so with all my friends going towards sort of electrician, plumber, I decided to go towards butchery, which was the best option and best choice I've made. Basically, I started off in a small high street butcher's for just under a year, where I learnt to make sausages, clean up, real sort of run-of-the-mill things, bottom of the ladder. But yes, as I say, it's put me in good stead to move on to quite a large farm shop in just outside the Cotswolds in a place called Bryce Norton. At which point, that's where I did learn my skill. That as a skilled tradesman. So sort of starting knife work, cutting down beef, lamb, pork into primals. I was there for just under 2 years, at which point, due to living with my parents, I had to move away. So unfortunately we moved to a bit more of a city, a small city, called Banbury. Unfortunately, a lot of the high street butchers there didn't actually require anyone, so I found myself working in retail for the next, it was about 2.5, 3 years, where I learnt plenty of skills on the tills, cash handling things. Then decided I'm old enough now to move back to my hometown, where I'd moved back to. So once I got down back to my hometown, I started in a place called Eagles, it's a delicatessen and butchery. There I developed as a manager, also as effectively the person in charge of ordering meat, deciding what we're wanting, viewing the numbers from the previous year. I was there for just under 2 years, which brings me nearly to where I am now. So I've been working for the last just over 7 months in a supermarket butchery called Morrison's. So I've worked there, which is an interesting take on butchery. It's not so much of the cutting, it's more of the customer service level, which in every job I've had I pride myself on. And really that's the thing that's pulled me through and made me develop in different places. It has been my customer service and my ability to shine with people. A little bit more about myself. When I was at Foxbury Farm, I earned multiple awards for my sausage making, honey and mustard sausage, which won national award. And then from there, really, it's been working in a few kitchens at the place at Eagles, so where I've been sort of getting to learn how to cook as well as cut, which is always good to know. So yes, I say my dreams and aspirations is to eventually move to Canada, live and work there. As I went to Ontario last May, absolutely fell in love with the place, and hopefully I'll be there for the rest of my days. Thank you very much.
Hello, to start with, we have one side of pork. With the pork on the block, I'm going to first take off the shoulders and legs, turning it into the primals. So here we go. After making my first mark, I then go through the bone with the saw, and then go through the rest of the meat with the knife, separating the leg from the rest of the carcass. And again, on the shoulders, I go count 7 ribs down from the shoulder and go between the 6th and the 7th rib. First of all with the saw, and then with the steak knife. So first of all, the loin, taking rid of the kidney there. So the loin and the belly still connected. So I make my mark with the knife as a rough guide, about a hand width away from the edge of the loin, going towards the lower end of the belly. Make the mark with my knife, and then again saw through the bones and finish off with the knife. So here with the loin now, I separate after the last rib. So we've got the loin and then the thick end of the loin, which we break into 2. So it's available to turn into leg of pork steaks. First of all, for the leg of pork steaks, I debone the piece, and once the bone has been removed, I then proceed to tighten the meat up, make it a nice shape, and then cut a decent sized steak. And now to the belly. Trim off any excess meat that can be used later in sausages or in pork mince, and then proceed to take the bones off of the piece of belly, simply by sheeting it off. Once the ribs have been removed, say they can be flavoured, alternatively left plain, good, ideal for barbecues. I then proceed to score the belly, leaving it in the whole piece. It is available to slice, in which case I would not score it, just simply go through with the steak knife to have some nice belly slices. Alternatively, it can be rolled, either just plain rolled and tied, or alternatively to enter some stuffing into it and roll it and tie it. With the loin, it can be chopped through into chops, which is a common choice. Alternatively, you can French trim it, leave it in the piece, and have it as a nice roasting joint. We move on to the leg of pork now. So first of all, I'm going to take the H-bone out, just to free up, so I can tunnel bone the rest of the piece. Once it has been tunnel boned, it should be a nice even piece, and then proceed to score it, trim off any excess fat and gristle, score it, and then say roll it tight together. We then move on to my favourite piece, the shoulder of the pork. So we're going to take the hand of pork off first by simply marking up where I'm going to cut, trying to hit the joint on the top, the ball joint. So once we're through there, it's just a case of sawing through the rest of the ribs and then separating them too with a steak knife. So once separated, the hand of pork can be deboned and rolled into a small joint, although to be honest I would recommend either using it for diced pork or alternatively using it for sausage meat. Then we move on to the shoulder. So just literally taking off these last few bits of the ribs on the top, and then we'll work our way to the blade bone and take the blade bone out just by cutting through, making sure it's nice and even, and removing all bone. So then we continue to tie the shoulder of pork off, making sure it's nice and even, or as even as can be from one end to the other, for nice even cooking. This is of course after it's been nicely scored. So once done, the rest of the trim there can be turned into sausages, alternatively diced, a finished product on the block, and myself with the finished product.